Let me show you how to sculpt an arm, a basic arm. I'm going to show you how to block out the overall shapes of the arm. I'm going to show you how to create mid-frequency, and I'm also going to show you like some high-res detail. I'm going to take you from step by step. You can use any software, Blender, ZBrush, Madbox, whatever you want, and that's everything. So let's begin watching this video. Okay, let's begin sculpting the arm. And my friend with me here today. You're gonna ask some questions. Yeah, so you can more easily understand my process of sculpting. So let's begin. Okay, we're gonna start from like nothing, a sphere basically, just to be able to show you guys how to sculpt an arm. We're just gonna start indicating this like tube shape here, kinda. Really important to make this like separation here in the middle.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's really important because here it goes the upper arm with the bicep and all of that kind of stuff, and tricep, and here's the underarm, and it's important to make like separation where the bicep is, because many people make that mistake that they don't make an clear enough separation. So that was actually a really good question. So I just think we're gonna continue down this path and make sure that it's like here. Don't just have an arm shape that's like this, a linear curve. Make sure that it's like this, go inwards like a triangle, and then curve like this. Don't exaggerate it that much. And here it's the same thing. So we're just gonna add those shapes. The first thing that we're gonna do, see, I'm just adding some shape here, making sure that this shape here is like a curve. It's gonna be pretty thick on the back side right here, and here it's gonna go from here just down to the skeleton. Just gonna make it real thin down here, and that's really important, guys. So we're just gonna start with something like this, and we're gonna kind of like erase the like points towards the end here, because we're not gonna sculpt an arm, a hand, or like the shoulder. We're just gonna sculpt the overall arm. You can see the very basic shape of an arm here.
Could you tell me a bit about the different muscles on the arm?
Yeah, of course. Here we can see like the tricep shape, where we're gonna block in the overall tricep later. Here is the bicep, not like that, it's more like that shape, minus that, like that. And we're gonna add a muscle shape that goes down like this. It's actually a really important muscle. Let me guys show you a little bit more, like, let's begin sculpting it. So it goes from here, from the upper arm bone, like this part of the bone right here, all the way to underneath the arm like this. And many people just make it like this line like this, but make sure that you indicate. There's actually a breaking point right here, so make sure that you indicate it, because it's gonna make it look more natural, more like a mature muscle. And after that, we're gonna start adding the tricep a little bit. And this part actually is two parts, so actually going up like this. The tricep is really simple. Just create this like P shape, kind of like shape here. And then the same on the other side, but just make it a little bit more thick. Goes inwards like this. Triceps is actually a really big shape, and then just use the move tool to like get this shape, so you can see this middle shape from the side, like something like that, I would say. Then we're gonna add just the like skeleton here, so you can see it, and then add some muscle tendons from the tricep. The muscle tendon from tricep goes from on top here down like this, like a triangle. It's like a triangle shape, real shape of tricep. And then from here we're gonna add muscles that goes straight down like this, two muscles. Then we have small muscles on the side right here. Then here we have this like little tiny muscle that goes like a curve like this. Then we have this big muscle that goes from up here all the way down and goes from here like this, that makes this like shape in between here. So be sure to indicate that.
So it's like a space room in between.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of space in between, so it's really important to indicate it, because otherwise it's gonna look very, very weird. And the bicep that's right here goes from here to here. Really, it actually goes, the bicep connects from the arm here to underneath the armpit. So it's really important to add that, because it's gonna help with this like cavity with the arm right here. That's really, really important, guys, that you add that. So this was a really good question as well. And then we have our like shape right here. It's a muscle in between. It's not very visible for most people, because there's a lot of fat on top, most likely, but it's a shape added right there, at least. So we just can add it. Then here we just can create the shape a little bit more, and we're gonna indicate this muscle a little bit more, just like that. And now we get the like basic shape of an arm. We're just gonna pull it all together to make the bicep a little bit thinner and the overarm a lot thinner, because it's not gonna be this like enormous. And we're gonna put the tricep a little bit more like down like this, and then make sure that this area right here sticks out a little bit, just to make it look more defined. And this part right here, it's never gonna go like this, it's always going with the flow of the underarm. So it's really important that you make sure that you know that kind of stuff. And now we're just gonna smooth the overall arm out a little bit, so we can add some more shape on the top of it. Yeah, so now we have like blocked out the overall shapes and the basic shapes of the arm. So let's go on to the like mid frequency now. So I'm gonna show you guys how to create the mid frequency. So we're gonna add some more topology. Then I'm just gonna take a little bit nicer alpha, and we're gonna start with indicating, and it's just going with a lower intensity, going over every single muscle, guys, and just creating nicer shapes, more shapes and forms. And we're gonna make sure that they all is nice and very, very clean shapes, as you can see here. Very, very clean shapes. And also make sure, guys, that this part of the lower arm is thicker than this part, so we need to like change that a little.
Why?
Yeah, because here there are mostly like visible bone, because we don't gonna see a lot of muscles here, and here it's all the muscles are really gonna pop. So make sure that you know this kind of stuff, so you can create like over shape of the bone here. So make sure this curve is here like that, so it's not like this just upward or like triangle shape, so it's not like this just like that, like a rectangle. So make sure that you add all these different kind of shape, guys. And then you're just gonna add some very, very basic like topology, or not topology, but very basic shape right here. And then the tricep actually goes like two parts like this, one part like that, and then one part like this. So make sure to indicate it's actually two like different parts right here. And then we have this is only one part, and it's gonna become really, really thin towards the end here and thick here. So I'm gonna erase some clay right here to make it really, really thin. Indicate this part a little bit in between here, because this guy is having a lot of muscle and is really, really ripped. And then we're gonna add this shape. This is actually a shape I've learned that you really need to create to make it look more believable. Make sure that there's like these planes right here, in between here, so you have this like plane here. So that muscle pops a little bit more. Maybe sounds a little bit weird, but that's actually how gonna look when the muscle is more like defined. Then we're just gonna like add these very basic muscles right here. We'll refine it. Goes from down here up here. It's two muscles of them. This has more like a curve to it. This is more like just a straight muscle. And then we're gonna add a third tube shape right here. But this is actually like a couple of muscles, but never gonna like see them as a couple of muscles, so you're just gonna like smooth it out a little bit to make it more like a little bit of fat on top of it, so it looks more like an realistic and nice looking arm. Then we're gonna use the damn standard brush, or like just carve in the overall shapes, like this. And we're gonna use something like this to just make sure that the tricep get these both shapes really clear. This little muscle right here is gonna be make sure to indicate it and just create this kind of like shapes here, making sure that this like P shape is really clear from the side, so you can see the overall tricep tendon from the side as well, and from behind the arm you're gonna want to see this overall like triangular shape like that. The bicep, we're just gonna use the like flattening tool to just make sure that it's really clear planes like this. Make sure it looks like boxy or like tube like shape, something like that. Now it looks a little bit harsh, so we're just gonna smooth it out a little bit, but we got the overall shapes down at least, guys. And here now we're just gonna make sure that you can clearly see that this is a different muscle that we're gonna indicate right here. And actually, if you want to go like more on detail on the like overall shape of the bicep, bicep actually consists of two parts. So make sure that you add like this like nice curve like that if you want it to look more realistic. But make it very subtle, because that's gonna make it look way more realistic. And we don't want it like that. I'm just gonna add some better topology so I very easily can continue working on this arm. Something like that. Add more topology so it's easier for me to work on it. I'm gonna smooth it out a little bit, like that. Just create some more planes. The planes is really important because they help indicate the overall shapes and flow of each and every muscle. So just indicate it like this. See, every muscle is getting its own shapes. I'm usually just make the shapes pop a little bit more, just like this. So yeah, I'm just gonna indicate a little bit more planes like this, make it more round lookish, looking right here, and really here indicate it's like real strong planes, so it looks more angular.
So it's making more shapes.
Yeah, it's creating more shapes and more depth to all the different kind of shapes, because it really helps like involving the shapes and not making them look like too sculptish when you're gonna like smooth them out later. Now we're just gonna like add some definition to these shapes right here. If you want the forearm to look really strong, make sure that you add these shapes really clearly, because they're gonna make the forearm look really strong. And here we have two different muscles. They are not usually this defined, so make sure that you just smooth it out guys a little bit. And right here, making sure that this muscle pops, making sure that all of this muscle pops, and this muscle like that. Just smooth it out a little bit so it looks a little bit nicer. Like that, adding more planes. It's just the same process, guys. Just going over and over the shapes. Just make them look very nice. Making them look a little bit, making it look more natural. Smooth brush, again, you know, just the same process. Making the tricep a little bit smaller. Like that, and now I actually think it's starting to look pretty much like an arm.
Yeah, I think too.
Yeah, I think it actually starting to look pretty good now. At least as a base kind of structure, like the basics of how to create an arm. That's gonna indicate this shape a little bit more. And here, actually, really important. Here is actually like this shape that goes from here down like this. It separates into two parts, so you can actually indicate for this part into two parts like this, so you get this like zigzag part right there. Now I'm really like exaggerating it with mask tool right there, so you can see it, guys. Make sure to add that pretty subtle, something like this. You can see it's there, but just helps to break up the shapes. Something like that. I'm just gonna indicate this a little bit more. Bicep starts to look pretty good. Something like that. And we're just gonna indicate this a little bit further. Like this. And this shape I actually wanna indicate a lot more, but I just wanna indicate it like here. So I'm gonna use erase and geometry right here, and then just trying to indicate it very, very slightly like this. Using then this standard brush. It's being sure that I can carve it in without erasing too much topology. Yeah, but I'm thinking this starting to look pretty nice now actually. So something like that. Yeah, but here you can see our problem. We don't want like this shape sticking out on the bicep like that, so we're just gonna erase that. So it's this like nice tube shape like this. So it looks very, very natural. Okay, now I've showed you like the mid-frequency, or like basics of mid-frequency on an arm. Now I thought I would show you guys really easily how to sculpt some detail. I'm just gonna very quickly add some kind of like hand shape here, so you guys can see how it looks with like a hand. So just very quickly gonna add like a very basic hand shape. Something like that. We can see how the arm connects. And we just need to create this like bone structure here. Make sure that it's actually a pretty big separation in between here, because it's gonna help with some depth. Just in between. Like that, and this like bone part that's gonna be shown right here. Make sure to indicate it. Just gonna indicate some kind of like thumb structure as well. Look at it, can be it's very basic, very rough arm shape. And here, I haven't shown you guys this on the like more basic shapes. When you have the hand, you can really clearly see it. Make this like, I'm gonna have the hand like this sharp angle right here. So I'm also gonna add like this, so it's really thin here and thicker. Oh, sorry guys. So it's really thin around here and really thick up here. So it really looks like it's separating to the only like the bone here. So make sure it's like this plane here before the muscle starts to like build up right here. I'm gonna do the same thing from this side right here. And if you really want to go more in depth, you can actually trying to separate this muscle a little bit more from these shapes, just to make it look a little bit more dynamic. Yeah, you can kind of like basically see the overall shapes right there of the arm. Something like this. Guys, I think it's starting to look pretty good out now actually. Something like that. We're just gonna add some more planes to it. Like this nice curve shape around here. And then just smooth it out a little bit. And the same thing here. I think that's basically like the mid-frequency. So we're just gonna show you guys really quickly how to add some like detail. And that's the most basic part. Can like really quickly create some just like blood veins kinda. So we can add it like here on the like bicep like this. It's a really big blood vein on the bicep like that.
It's very visible.
Yeah, it's very visible. And here it's going not this big, but like going like kind of like lightning strike. Usually goes something like this. Down on the arm like this, and can go like...
Oh, so it's dividing.
Yeah, it's dividing from this like big point right here.
Yeah.
And dividing into smaller and smaller veins. So that's really important, guys. And you can add some like tendon structure down here. Usually one tendon to show way more clearly. So I'm just using standard brush to just show this tendon right here, and gonna invert it to create some more depth, something like that. And then you can just add some more like contrast by just using standard brush and just carving in these shapes a little bit more. You see, it's starting to like look more dynamic. And just make sure that this shape is pretty nice looking, so it's not like this different shapes. It's one big tube shape. But yeah, guys, that was everything I had for you for this episode. Hope you liked it. If you do, please smash that subscribe button and comment down below what you thought of the video. And if you want to vote for the next tutorial, go to my Instagram. I'm gonna link my Instagram down below. Otherwise, on Instagram, my name is Sculpture for Life, just like on YouTube. And that was all I got for you today. So have a nice one, and see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.